Hi, I'm Scott Bliss with Sandler Training Jersey Shore. Welcome to today's session on the 7 secrets of top performing sales professionals. We here at Sandler have a number of different philosophies that we live by. Philosophy number one, Sandler believes that professional selling is a very noble profession and deserves respect. We need to make sure that we understand our prospects' pain, their budget, and their decision-making process before we try and sell them anything. It is our job, the best salespeople help the prospect uncover the real pain, not necessarily the pain indicators like quality, delivery. That could be painful, but what does bad quality or bad delivery mean? What does it do to everything else, right? So we help the prospect discover the real pain and that we are indeed the solution if we are able to solve their pain. Equal business stature, it's vitally important here. We have to look at ourselves as equals within the relationship. Too many salespeople put their prospects here and then sales a rung below, right? And when we're a rung below, we feel like we're somewhat subservient to our prospect, that we have to educate them and answer all their questions and give them all the information that they need. And yet what we sacrifice is the pertinent information that we need. So really equal business stature, you have to see yourself psychologically as an equal in the relationship, and you must professionally assert your right to have open and honest communication. There is definitely pertinent information that you need to gather so you can make a decision about a sale. Is this prospect worth my time, my effort, my energy? Right? So you must look at yourself as equals. Most sales issues fall into two categories. Category number one, technical issues, which basically means the salesperson doesn't know exactly what to do. A lot of people are hired, their resume looks good, they interview well, they're trained on the products, they're trained on the inner workings of the company, but they're not necessarily trained on how to sell or any type of sales process. So they don't know exactly how to react in certain situations. The second major issue are conceptual issues, which basically means they know what to do. They've read some books, they've watched some videos, maybe they've even taken some courses, but they don't feel comfortable doing what they learned. They're not comfortable with the concept, so conceptually they know what to do, they're just afraid to do it. So what is a sales process and why is it important? Well, you know what? A sales process is a systematic series of actions that is directed at achieving an end. It defines how you get something done. It's a course of action that leads to a decision about a sale. In this case, we want a yes or we want a no. No gray area, nothing in the middle. And a really good, effective sales process provides the order of specific actions. So what are the benefits of an effective and an efficient selling process? Number one, it allows you to maintain control. You'll see in a few minutes, we're going to talk about something called the buyer-seller dance, where it's a battle. Who's in control of the selling interaction? Is it the buyer or is it the seller? So I ask you right now to start thinking about that. When you think about all your selling interactions, who's in control? Whose system are you following? Yours, if you have one, or theirs? Right? So we want to have a really good, effective, strong system to maintain control of all the selling interactions. We want to save time, right? Salespeople waste a lot of time, and we are going to work with you on how to alleviate some of that. You're going to save time. It's important to stay on track. So many sales meetings can just go off into the weeds based on the different personality types that are out there, right? And we have to have the ability to pull it back into where we want it to go. We want to be able to duplicate positive results. So when we work hard to learn something, by practicing it and doing it over and over again and watching videos and listening to some audio to perfect our craft, we want to be able to duplicate that and develop that muscle memory to do it over and over and over again, especially when we're getting good results. We want to be able to debrief calls. We want to be able to sit down afterwards and talk about what we did well, what didn't go so well, and what we might want to change for next time. And then we want to be able to have that ability to recognize problems. Right? I'm going to use my son as an example. He was a baseball player, a youth baseball player, played all the way up and through high school. And he went for hitting lessons. He went for professional hitting lessons from a very young age, all the way up through his high school career. And every time he'd come out of the lesson, I'd say, buddy, how did it go? And he would say the same thing. Come on, Dad, you know, it's boring. All I do is swing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I hit off a tee, they soft toss it, they long toss it. It's boring. Right? But yet, what all those swings did is it created that muscle memory, right? Created that muscle memory. So I remember the day in a high school game, I think it was his freshman year, where he said to me, you know what, Dad, I get it. He goes, all those swings, all that practicing, when I had my first at bat today, the first curveball that the pitcher threw me, I was definitely off balance. I wasn't expecting it. And I had a very awkward swing, but I knew the next pitch was going to be a curveball as well. And I was better prepared because I knew what I did wrong during that first pitch, that first curveball. So that second pitch, right, he was more prepared. He knew he reverted back to what he learned in the cages, which at that time was thousands and thousands of swings to really develop that muscle memory. And he ripped the ball line drive up the middle for a double. Right. So a good, strong, effective system is going to give you that muscle memory, and it's going to help you autocorrect, self-correct right in the middle of the call. You don't have to wait till the end. You can uncover your mistake right then and there. He did it right in the middle of the at-bat, in between pitches, from one pitch to the next. That's why that practice is important, right? Getting that muscle memory down. Same thing in selling with your sales process, right? I want to talk a little bit now. I mentioned the buyer-seller dance. And the buyer-seller dance is that struggle for power between the salesperson and the prospect. And again, I ask you to think about it. Who's in control of your selling interactions? And the typical seller order goes a little something like this. A brief needs analysis. We hear that they might be interested. We know they're using a competitor of ours. And sometimes as a salesperson, that's all we need to hear is that they're using a competitor's, why not mine? After we conduct that brief needs analysis, we go right into presentation mode. We talk about the features and benefits of our product or service, why they should buy from us, why we're better than the competition. We've been in business 50 years, this, that, the other thing. And we go right into presentation mode. And a lot of times too, that presentation could be something as simple as just sending a quote or sending a sample or sending a spec sheet, right? Depending, it could also be a demo that you have to set up. Right? But typically we go right into that presentation mode. Then we try and close. We present the quote. What do you think? Are you ready to place an order? When can we expect the PO? And then we have to handle objections. We find ourselves in a position to where we now have to deal with, oh, I need to think about it. We need to form a committee. I need to talk to my boss, a host of other stalls and objections that we go through on this. And then lastly, we find ourselves always in follow-up mode. And if you're always in follow-up mode, and a lot of times you're getting ghosted, the prospect isn't getting back to you. Maybe they even tell you to call them Tuesday at 2. You call them Tuesday at 2. They don't answer. It goes to voicemail, right? And now we're kind of like in chase mode. Right? And here's one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to remove the word just from your follow-up vocabulary. And I want you to go back and look at some of the emails that you've sent where you were in follow-up mode with prospects. And read those emails. And I guarantee you'll find a handful that say things like this. I just want to check in with you. I just want to follow up the quote. I just want to see where you are in the process, right? Don't suffer from justitis. Remove it from your vocabulary, right? I had one prospect say to me, you know what, Scott, I really like that. That sounds great. What word do you recommend we replace it with? And my answer to him was, you know, Matt, I appreciate the question. Don't replace it with any word, because if you follow a good, strong, effective, efficient process, you will not have to use any word to replace just, because you're going to gather all the pertinent information you need up front in the midst of it while you're having these conversations. Buyers have their own process. There's a typical buyer order, and they've developed this process as a defense mechanism for the traditional selling process. They know what to expect, because here's the thing: everybody likes to buy, but nobody likes to be sold. And salespeople are coming in there with the mentality of, here's what I have to sell you, here's what I want to pitch you, here's what I want you to buy. And the buyer has the mentality of, I buy for my reasons, Mr. Salesperson. I buy for my reasons, not your reasons. So our job as salespeople is to uncover those reasons that they want to buy. But their buying order is a defense mechanism against the traditional selling process, because what they do is they express interest. Right? They do. They give us just enough, just a little bit, to get us excited. Right? Then what they do is they act motivated. They want something from us. Oftentimes they want our sample. They want our spec sheet. Maybe they just want our pricing to hold their incumbent supplier honest. We've been using them for years. Let's see if we can do better out on the market. Right? So they act motivated. Right? What they then do is they want to obtain information. They want to gather as much information from us that we are willing to give them. And salespeople, again, we get happy ears. Happy ears is when we feel a little nibble on our line. If we're fishing and we bait the hook and we put it in the water and we feel that little nibble, we start reeling it in, right? Happy ears is very similar. We hear they might be interested. They want something from us. We want to give it to them because we think we might have one here on the line, right? So their job is to obtain information. Then what they do is they avoid commitment. And by avoiding commitment, this is where, again, the common stalls and objections. We need to think it over. I need to talk to my boss. We need to form a committee, right? They avoid that commitment and then they disappear on us. They disappear. And a lot of times, the only time they reappear is when they need more information from us. And again, we fall into that same mode. We're so happy to give it. And that sounds a little bit something like this. Hey, Scott, listen, I know I've been hard to get a hold of. I took a few vacation days, been really, really busy trying to get through these issues that we've been having. So I apologize for not getting back to you. Hey, I need another favor from you. I need you to add this, this, and this to that quote. So do me a favor, send that over, and I promise I'll get back with you, in a few weeks from now. And again, most salespeople feel like that's great. They're reaching out, they want more information, and you proudly give that information. And when you look about these two systems at work, how they collide, we call this the buyer-seller dance, right? And the buyer-seller dance, there's essentially one leader and one leader only, right? So if you look at the top, it's the buyer system. And if you look at the bottom in blue, it's the seller system, right? They express interest. We have that fits right in with our needs analysis. They act motivated. We present our proposal, give them information. Again, a quote, a demo, a spec. Their job is to obtain that information, which we are more than willing to give. We try and close them. They avoid commitment. We try and handle their objections that they give us when they avoid commitment. Then they disappear on us, and we're constantly stuck in follow-up mode, just checking in, just want to see where you are in the process. And when these two philosophies collide, you often have a very educated buyer and a frustrated salesperson. We want to eliminate this from happening. Right? So that buyer-seller dance that I referred to, think of ballroom dancing. You can only have one person leading the dance. The person who's leading the dance controls the tempo. It controls when the dance starts, when it stops, the area of the floor that is covered, whether you're getting dipped, whether you're getting lifted, whether you're getting spun. There's only one leader. If both people are trying to lead the dance, it's not a dance at all. It's more of a wrestling match, if you really think about it. So who is leading your dances? Who is leading your selling interactions? Take a long, honest view of yourself and say, am I leading as a salesperson, or am I falling into the prospect system? So what happens when the prospect leads? When the prospect leads, we don't really have a really good understanding of their needs, of their pain. They give us very surface area, very surface level pain indicators that there might be a problem, right? And we need to utilize great questioning strategies to go deeper into pain, right? So when the prospect leads, we don't have a true understanding of the pain or the need. And a lot of times too, we try and close at the wrong time. We try and close at the wrong time, and we waste so much time and energy chasing. We want to avoid the chase. Nobody likes being ghosted. I think everybody knows what that means, getting ghosted, right? Nobody likes it. We need to eliminate that as much as possible. right? We have a rule at Sandler, no free consulting. And if you go back to, if you think it's your job to educate your prospect and give them all the information that they need. And again, when we get those happy ears, we want to give them so much information because we're trying to build a relationship with them. And we feel like if we don't give them things, they're not going to like us. If they're not going to like us, they're not going to buy from us. So we'll just give them everything. And a lot of times that turns into unpaid consulting. They get everything they need from us. We do not gather the pertinent information we need to gather from them so we can make an honest decision from our own perspective. Is this prospect worth our time, our effort, our energy, our resources, right? No free consulting. Do not become an unpaid consultant. I'd like to spend now a few minutes with you going over these 7 secrets of top selling sales professionals. Secrets number 1 and 2, or steps number 1 and 2 in the Sandler selling system, building the relationship, starts with bonding and rapport. At the end of the day, people buy from people that they like, that they trust, and that are like them. We as salespeople get paid to adapt to our prospects. Our prospects do not get paid to adapt to us. So when I talk about bonding and rapport, I'm not talking about the easy stuff where you walk into their office and you see the sailfish on the wall and you can talk about fishing, or you see the golf foursome photo where they're all standing there at the tournament and you say, oh, great, you play golf, I play golf, let's talk golf. Or if you see some banners or anything from their favorite sports team in the office, oh, you're a Yankee fan, so am I, right? That's easy. Anybody can do that. There's no differentiation there. You need to differentiate yourself in the bonding and rapport process. You need to go much deeper psychologically than what the naked eye can show you. You need to learn about DISC and their personality profiles. You need to adapt to their communication preference. You need to learn about neurolinguistic programming, which is like matching and mirroring, right? You need to learn about the elements of communication, body language, tonality, spoken word. Did you know that 55% of all communication is body language? Crazy, right? 38% is tonality. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And only 7% of all communication is accounted for by spoken word, what is actually said. Secret number 2, step number 2 in the Sandler selling system, upfront contracts. You need to take control of the selling interaction. The upfront contract is a technique that if you master it, it is a game changer. You're setting the expectations of what's going to occur at every single avenue of the meeting. What's going to occur, what you're expecting of them, what they should expect of you, what the purpose is, the time, and most importantly, the outcome. What's going to happen next. So you're going to learn about the upfront contract, how to use it, when to use it. You can never overuse it, and it is an absolute game changer. Secrets 3, 4, and 5 is all about qualifying the opportunity. We all have sales pipelines, and a lot of us can admit that we put stuff in the pipeline many times because we really think we're working towards closing it, which is true. But also many times we throw stuff into the pipeline because our boss is on our back and we need to show them that we're busy and that we have opportunities. And that's where pipelines become stagnant, where they get clogged in the middle, junk in, junk out. Right? So we want to make sure we use our sales pipeline for properly qualified opportunities. And a properly qualified opportunity is when you can clearly articulate 3 things. And you're able to clearly articulate these 3 things because part of the Sandler selling system is learning great questioning strategies, how to plan and how to execute and how to ask questions, especially ones that make you uncomfortable, right? We start teaching you and working with you on how to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. You're stuck in the status quo. Right? So if you can clearly articulate using your great questioning strategies the pain that the prospect has, and not just surface area pain that they're usually willing to share with you, but deeper pain, right? If you can clearly articulate that pain, and if you have a solution for it, you progress it to the next step, which is step number 4, secret number 4, budget. If you can solve their pain, can they afford your solution? Not only can they afford it, but are they willing and able to afford it, because sometimes they can afford it. They just might not be in enough pain to where they want to pay more, right? And then secret number 5, or the 5th step in the Sandler selling system, the decision step. You almost here with the decision step, you need to play the role of an investigative reporter. You need to learn about the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, the how, right? You need to understand, how is a decision being made? When is it going to be made? Who is it made by? Who else is involved? So on and so forth. So if you can clearly articulate, again, a pain that you can solve, a budget that they can afford and they're willing and able to part with, and you are fully cognizant of their decision-making process, that is an absolutely properly qualified opportunity that belongs in your sales funnel. After these top 5 secrets, we're going to now move to secret number 6, the fulfillment step. Right? The fulfillment step is your proposal. It is your presentation. It is your demo, right? So the way that works is you are not presenting your goods, your services, your pricing, regardless of what it is, until you have gathered all the other information that the first 5 steps help you gather. Why present if they don't have a pain that you can solve, right? So once you gather all that information, you then go into that presentation mode, and what you are presenting is the solution to their pain, plain and simple, right? That's not the time to upsell and cross-sell. You need to develop that trust, develop that relationship. You need to solve their pain that you were able to uncover with their help, right? So that's what you present in the fulfillment step. And if you remember, in the traditional selling process, the presentation was in step 2, way too early, right? You didn't really uncover the pain, know the problem, before you jumped right into the presentation. Here in the Sandler selling system, the fulfillment step, the presentation, is step 6. Step 6, right? So you're taking the time to understand everything else that leads up to it, right? Step 7, secret number 7, the post-sell deals with buyer's remorse. Some salespeople have difficulty with this post-sell. If you're replacing an incumbent supplier, the post-sell might sound a little something like this. Hey, Scott, glad you've agreed to work with us. Very happy about that. What's going to happen on Monday when you call ABC company and let them know that you're pulling the business from them? What happens if they match our price, or if they make all these promises in the world to you, right? Sometimes it happens, right? And sometimes we get disappointed because we think we closed the deal, and a couple of days later we hear back from the client and they say, you know what, thanks for everything. When we called ABC, they promised us they were going to fix everything. They gave us better pricing. We're just going to stick with them for now. So if you're in a situation where you're dealing with an incumbent supplier, you want to know, you want to prepare for that. Very hard thing for salespeople to do, this post-sale step, right? So these are the top 7 secrets right here, right? You are establishing the relationship in steps 1 and 2, secrets 1 and 2. Secrets 3, 4, and 5, you're qualifying the opportunity. Secrets 6 and 7, you are closing the sale. I'd like to end with talking about a few positive results of the Sandler selling process. You get a yes. Ultimately, that's our goal. We want to get a yes at the end of the day. You get a no. That is a great response to get. No's stand for next opportunity. No's are good. You want to get them early. You want to get comfortable giving your prospect permission to tell you no, if indeed it's going to be a no, right? It's okay. You will never run into a situation where you give the prospect permission to tell you no, and they say, you know what, Scott, it was going to be a yes, but since you gave me permission to tell you no, it's going to be a no. Not going to happen. You get a no, you learn a lesson, you save a lot of time. The only time a no is bad is when you've invested a lot of time, effort, energy, and resources into that no, right? Always ask for a referral, even if you get a no. Say, hey, anybody else within your organization that you think I should reach out to, or anybody else you work with that you think might be a good fit for us that we should have a conversation with? What's the worst thing they can say? They can say no, right? But a lot of times getting that referral opens a lot of other doors. And the last positive result of the Sandler selling process, you get a clear, well understood future. You're not chasing, you're not sending emails, just checking in, just following up. If you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to have a conversation on how we might be able to help you, because again, we might not be a fit for you, and that's okay. But if you'd like to have that conversation, contact us. All the information is below. Look forward to hearing from you. Good selling.